Good morning. My name is Paula Watson, and I'm a member of this congregation serving as your worship associate today. On behalf of our Reverend Dave Dunn, Director of Religious Exploration, Lexi T. Brown, our Music Director, Alex Peach, the greeters, and the technical team that are making today's live stream possible, I would like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North, which we fondly call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with a mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, whom you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, all are welcome here. Welcome as well to all joining us remotely. For any visitors who are here with us for the first time and feel comfortable doing so, would you please stand and tell us your name and where you're from so that we can get to know you better? Do I have any first-time visitors on my left, your right? Or how about this side? No, we're good. Today is Pride Sunday in Atlanta. It is a day to celebrate LGBTQ pride and is often a larger part of the Pride Month celebration. Many of you know that some of our members are on their way to the MARTA station so they can be in the Atlanta parade. The first parades were held on June 28, 1970, the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. So, happy Pride Day. Tomorrow, the second Monday in October, is Indigenous Peoples Day. The date, which had formerly been named after Christopher Columbus, was marked as a federal recognition of the contributions and resilience of Indigenous peoples and their inherent sovereignty. UUMAN's Common Grounds Coffee House will take place next Saturday, October 19 at 7:30 here in the UUMAN Sanctuary. 4 different singers and songwriters will be sharing their music with us. It's time. The Election Distraction Auction of 2024 will begin online October 27th with a live auction on November 2nd. Register and get your tickets online using the QR code set at the auction table after service. Did I miss something? Oh, is it time for the skit? No, it's a different skit. Okay. It's time for a different skit. Oh, excuse me, microphone needs to be up, please.
Not on. It's on. Okay. 13 days, 23 hours, and 52 minutes from right now, an auction will begin. We are very, very excited to let you know about this auction. Yes?
Hey ladies, how
Okay.
you doing? Hi.
Hi.
Hi, look who's here for the weekend. I flew down from Boston to vote. I'm casting my vote on Tuesday. It's the first day of early voting, so I'm excited to get my voice out there. Yeah. We're going to be first in line at 7 a.m. at East Roswell Park, so find your early voting location near you. Oh, wait a minute. What is on your name tags? It says I'm a Georgia voter. Oh my gosh, have you tried to vote already? Is this voter fraud? What's happening? Rafaela, call Stacey Abrams. Oh my goodness.
Stop.
What you see is a really tiny I'm a Georgia voter peach. But what you don't see is the much darker vote then bid. Right. But in order to be able to bid on all the awesome items that we're beginning to collect and all the services that we're writing up with so much fun, you have to have a ticket. And there are lots of people who already have tickets, and in fact, we have lots of, you get a fun, colorful sticker just like this that doesn't show that you have voted necessarily. It shows that you have gotten your auction ticket. So we have lots of people who need to come and see us at the auction table afterwards so that you too can add your colorful little card. So Pat Shea, Marguerite, Adrian, Dawn and Michael and Susan Wilson and your mother and all kinds of people. So come see us so that you too can add your little sticker.
Yes, and we have door prizes again for those who either donate or buy tickets. And what about donations, you ask? They are coming in, and thank you, but we can use more. So if you have any items you want to donate, we need them by next Sunday. You can bring them to us next Sunday. You can drop them off at UUMAN in the office during the week this week, but we are going to get our catalog together because we start online in 2 weeks. The big date is November 2nd, but 2 weeks from today, we start a whole week of online bidding. So get your tickets and get your donations in. Thank you.
And early vote.
And now we have a skit about the Autumn Festival, an announcement. So I'll let.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, we'll make this work the best we can, sharing a mic. Okay, witches, put down the cauldron. We have to hurry and get started on the magic potion for the fall festival. The potion takes weeks and we're running behind. Hurry, stir it to make it faster.
I think I can just cast a spell real quick and get this done really, really quick.
No. We don't want any wizard magic. Don't you remember what happened last year when I asked for your help with the fall festival? I asked for scarecrows, and y'all brought us scared crows.
Well, I'm a wizard. I cannot help it that I cannot read witches' writing.
Okay, y'all tell the wizards over here what time to show up for the fall festival.
The Fall Festival is on October 27th after service.
Okay, witches, let's get out of here with our potion.
October 27th, you heard it. So now let us greet one another with the hand or elbow of friendship. And now it is time for our chalice lighting. All are welcome. All are honored. Chalice fire lights our way. Open eyes and hands and heart. Let peace and joy be ours today. All are welcome. All are honored. Earth, air, water, fire of life. Open eyes, hands, and heart, so that our love is shared with all of life. And now, as you are able, would you please stand for our opening hymn, number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. Meredith will play through one time, and we will sing.
Would like to. At least my children have to come down. Just sit down right there. There you go. How many of you know what the word indigenous means? Indigenous means the first people there. So you probably have heard the rhyme, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and that Columbus discovered America. But actually, there were already people there. It would be more accurate to say Columbus invaded America. So this is a story, it's called Encounter, and it's told from the perspective of a little boy who was already in the lands when Columbus got there. A Taino boy. The moon was well overhead, and our great fire had burned low. A loud clap of thunder woke me from my dream. All dreams are not true. Rode wild waves in our bay. They were not like any birds I had ever seen, for sharp white teeth filled their mouths. I left my hammock and walked to the beach. There were my dream birds again, only now they were real, 3 great-sailed canoes floating in the bay. I stared at them all through the night. When the sun rose, each great canoe gave birth to many little ones that swam awkwardly to our shore. I ran then and found our chief still sleeping in his hammock. "Do not welcome them," I begged him. "My dream is a warning." But it is our custom to welcome strangers, to give them the titters like parrots. Their feet were hidden also, and many of them had hair growing like bushes on their chins. 3 of them knelt before their chief and pushed sticks into the sand. Then I was even more afraid. Our young men left the shelter of the trees. I, who was not yet a man, followed, crying, "Do not welcome them. Do not call them friends." No one listened to me, for I was but a child. Our chief said, "We must see if they are true men." So I took one by the hand and pinched it. The hand felt like flesh and blood, but the skin was moon to my son. The stranger made a funny noise with his mouth, not like talking, but like the barking of a yellow dog. Then he leaped before them and put his hands up, pointing to the sky to show he understood how far they had flown. "Perhaps they have tails," said my older brother. "Perhaps they have no feet." Our young men smiled, but behind their hands, so the guests would not feel bad. Then they turned around to show that they had no tails. Our chief gave the strangers balls of cotton thread. So we built a great feasting fire and readied the pepper pot and yams and cassava bread and fresh fish. For though the strangers were not, the baby canoe spat out many strange creatures, human beings, we would still treat them as such. Our chief rolled tobacco leaves and showed them how to smoke, but they coughed and snorted and clearly did not know about these simple things. They were blue and gray like the shifting sea. Suddenly, I remembered my dream and stared at each of the strangers in turn. Even with those dark human eyes looked away, like dogs before they are driven from the fire. So I drew back from the feast, which is not what one should do, and I watched how the sky strangers touched our golden nose rings and our golden armbands, but not the flesh of our faces or arms. I watched their chief smile. It was a serpent smile, no lips and all teeth. I jumped up, crying, "Do not welcome them." But the welcome had already been given. I ran back under the trees, back to the place where my zemis stood. I fed it little pieces of cassava and fish and yam from the feast. And then I prayed, "Let the pale strangers from the sky go away from us." My zemis stared back at me with unblinking wood eyes. I gave it the smooth balls a stranger had dropped in my hand. "Take these eyes and see into the hearts of the strangers from the sky. If it must be, let something happen to me to show our people what they should know." My zemis was silent. It spoke only in dreams. Indeed, it had spoken to me already. When I returned to the feast, one of the strangers let me touch his sharp silver stick. To show I was not afraid, I grasped it firmly as one would a spear. It bit my palm so hard the blood cried out. But still no one understood, no one heard. They did not hear because they did not want to listen. They desired all that the strangers had brought, the sharp silver spear, round pools to hold in the hand that gave a man back his face, darts that sprang from sticks with a sound like thunder that could kill a parrot many paces away. We were given none of these, only singing shells and tiny balls on strings. We were patted upon the head as a child pats a yellow dog. We were smiled at with many white teeth, a serpent's smile. The next day, the strangers returned to their great canoes. They took 5 of our young men and many parrots with them. They took me. I knew then it was a sign from my zemis, a sign from my people. So I was brave and did not cry out, but I was afraid. That night, while my people slept on shore, the great sailed canoes left our bay, going farther and farther than even our strongest men could go. Soon the beach and trees and everything I knew slipped away until my world was only a thin, dark line stretched between sky and sea. What else was there to do? In the early morning, another land lay close enough to see. Silently, I let myself over the side of the great canoe. I fell down and down and down into the cold water. Then I swam to that strange shore. Many days I walked, following the sun. Many nights I swam, and many times the sky was full with the moon and stars. All along the way, I told the people of how I had sailed in the great canoes. I told of the pale strangers from the sky. I said our blood would cry out in the sand. I spoke of my dream of the white teeth. But even those who saw the great canoes did not listen, for I was a child. So it was we lost our lands to the strangers from the sky. We gave our souls to their gods. We took their speech into our mouths, forgetting our own. Our sons and daughters became their sons and daughters, no longer true humans, no longer ours. That is why I, an old man now, dream no more dreams. That is why I sit here wrapped in a stranger's cloak, counting the stranger's bells on a string, telling my story. May it be a warning to all the children and all the people in every land. It's kind of a sad story, but it's important to remember our history. So, thank you.
Now is the time in our service when the love that binds us together is spoken aloud. Within the loving community of this congregation, we take time to share with one another our joys and sorrows. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble into the bowl, and express a joy or sorrow you have. For those attending via live stream, if you have a joy or sorrow, I hope you will share this morning by typing it into the chat.
Hi, I'm Rosie Pop, and I'm going to drop 2 pebbles of concern for Sue Trombley. The first pebble is because her son had a heart attack a few weeks ago and had to have stents put in, but he's doing well and he's at home. While she was at home taking care of him, his dog bit her hand kind of by accident, and it became very infected, and she's been in the hospital for several days. But she just found out she's getting to come home today.
My name is Susan Wilson. I'm a member here. I wanted to tell you the story of my sister, not my sister. I always get nervous doing this. My daughter said that she took her child, her 7-year-old child, down to the Pride area for kids yesterday. And Flint was wearing his dress and had his sword. And while they were playing with the other kids, some hecklers came up and were yelling at the kids. So Jennifer, who was holding the sword, took the sword out and started swinging it while singing, "Be kind to your web-footed friends." And the police came over and took care of the situation. But thank you all for going down there in support.
Who heckles children, really? My name is Valerie Bayless. I'm a member of this congregation, and just a quick moment of joy. I got to plug UU's today. As some of you know, I live in North Forsyth, practically in Dowsonville, and I stopped at Starbucks, and the gentleman in the window saw my shirt and said, "Oh, are you going to Pride?" And I said, "No, but I belong to a Unitarian Universalist congregation." Showed him the back of the shirt, and I said, "But about half my congregation is going to be in the parade, and the other half," I said, "we are all allies." I said, "Unitarians are allies, if you're ever looking for one." And the kid just had such a look on his face and was like, "Thank you, thank you." So thanks to all of you and to this congregation and to UUs everywhere for being allies. And this shirt is available at the UUA bookstore.
I am dropping a pebble of deep grief and honestly one of anger. Last week marked 1 year of watching live the genocide of the Palestinian people. Conservative estimates right now are placing the total death toll at over 100,000 people. The list of the names of babies, dead babies, under a year old, is 14 pages long. And I don't know what to do with that fact. I don't know what to do with the fact that our society has accepted this as normal, and I don't know what to do with the fact that our leaders and our country are supporting and facilitating this. Hi, my name is Valeria. I'm a member of the congregation. Dang it, I feel like every time I come up here it's for a sad reason. But I'm dropping a pebble of sadness and sorrow. We had a longtime family friend pass away. Recently, the days are all blurring together now, but it was of multiple sclerosis. So, just check on the people that are usually keep to themselves. They're holding in a lot more than they're letting on.
My name is Janet Lacey. I'm a member of this congregation, and I have a pebble of joy. My son, Devin, who grew up in this congregation, got married on Tuesday.
Exactly 1 year ago today, I walked into this church for the first time and cried and was looking, I'll tell the whole story, but it's been a long road back to mental and physical health, which would not have been possible without this loving family of mine that I have now embraced in my heart. And I just wanted everyone to know how much you really mean to me, and how much I love this congregation, and how much I love this church and everything about it. And people say, well, you're all in. And I go, well, yeah, what else would you be, right? Of course I'm all in. And everything I do, I'm all in. So thank you. I just wanted to express my thank you to those people that welcomed me when I had the nerve to walk through the door, and for Miriam and another lady, I don't remember who now, but I remember Miriam very much. I was sitting here crying and praying, and everyone had gone to Pride, and I thought, well, this sure is a small congregation. Everyone's gone already, and it was a perfect thing for me. And they said it was going to be okay, and it is. So thank you very much.
I have two pebbles. The first is a celebration, a joy. Many of you know that our grandchildren live in Ireland, and our oldest, who I don't usually introduce this way, but our oldest, who is trans, just got his junior leaving cert back. It's a system of tests. The Irish education system is interesting. But the bottom line is they were all merit or highest merit, which is just such a joy because of all the work that he puts into that. So celebration for Arlo's merits and highest merit. And I put another pebble in for the joys and sorrows that are too tender to leave our hearts. May we hold ourselves for another week.
Good morning. Well, it's the Halloween season. And what better way to start the Halloween season than with a little Shakespeare? Around the cauldron grow, in the poisoned entrails throw, a toad that under cold stone days and nights has 31. Sweated venom, sleeping got, boil out first in the charmed pot. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet of fanny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of back, tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth, boil and bubble. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mummy, maw and gulf. Of the ravenous sea shark, roots of hemlock dug up in the dark, liver of a blaspheming jewel, gall of a goat and slips of Yule, slivered in the moon's eclipse, nose of a Turk and a Tartar's lips, finger of a birth-strangled babe, ditch delivered by a drabe. Make the thick gruel and the slab. Add here too a tiger's cauldron for the ingredients of our cauldron. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and done. Oh, well done, I commend your pains, and everyone shall share in the gains. And now about the cauldron sing, with live elves and fairies in a ring, enchanting all that you put in. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Good morning. My name is Colin Decker, and I'm a member of this congregation. This is the witch's chant from Shakespeare's Macbeth. If you notice, it's a little bit less than politically correct. Have to remember this was written in it was first performed in 1606 at the Globe Theatre in London. And that William Shakespeare was a playwright, and his goal in life is putting asses in seats. So we have to give him a little bit of poetic license. So not quite what you would find in most Wiccan communities. Now, I've been Wiccan all my life, didn't really know it until I was 13, and ran across a book called Mastering Witchcraft by Paul Husson, and then someone said, oh, this looks interesting. But been practicing now steadily for a good 30 years in various groups around town. But in between some of the different covens, my wife and I talked about trying to find a place, a liberal community that we could be part of. And so I came and checked out UUMAN. And so I came over here and talked to folks and found them friendly and nice, and came into the sanctuary, and I'm looking around and I said, ooh, they have magic circles in their windows with equal arm crosses. They have a male and female symbol of the flame and the chalice, representing the god and the goddess. They have pentagrams holding between the posts of their porticos. I think we could do this place, yeah. I looked at this big sanctuary, said I could have a really big magical circle in here. Never has happened, but the thought was there. So anyway, we've enjoyed our time here and really come to appreciate the people. What I'd like to talk to you about today is the Wiccan Tenets. The Seven Wiccan Tenets. Now, these were first published by Dame Sybil Leek in her book, The Complete Art of Witchcraft, back in 1973. And they cover 7 different items. You ready for it? Scary stuff. A balanced life, harmony, trust, humility, tolerance, learning, and reincarnation. Not quite what you were thinking, was it? But these are what my tradition, I'm not going to say every tradition because I know a lot of them out there don't, but my tradition includes this as part of the teaching curriculum for our students when they come through their covenants. And it's some of the most, what I think is some of the most important parts that we do teach them, because it's something that you live with every day. And just for reference, a tenet is a principle, a belief, or doctrine that is held to be true. So let's start off with the first one, a balanced life. And I tell people this is probably one of the most important things that's out there. We're constantly struggling, trying to balance between our job, our home life, our spirituality, everything that goes on. And so we're always walking that edge. And when that gets out of balance, it tends to show up in ways that we don't want to. First off is mental and physical. And it's more and more we're finding out that just as the mind controls the body can control the mind as well. There's been recent studies that show that even our digestive system can have an effect on our mental health. So what we put into our body can have a deep effect on how we handle things in life. Working to balance out stress, working to balance out work, working to be able to spend time with our family instead of killing ourselves working 16-hour days. It's not healthy. And to be a good practitioner of the craft, as we like to say, you have to have a balanced life. Because if you're constantly putting yourself on stress, you're going to ruin everything that you're trying to do. Next in our quotients of balanced lives is the subject of sex. Something a little sensitive, I realize that. But we believe in a healthy sex life is just part of being human. Now, I can honestly say that I would not be here today without it. So I think everyone of adult age, should have a healthy sex life. We don't believe that chastity is the way to go. We don't think hanging out at sex clubs 5 nights a week is the way to go either. But it's finding that piece in between the two. Next, in the options of sex, there is also the idea of the god and the goddess. While we believe that there is a supreme life force that flows through everything, we believe this divides itself into a male force and a female force. And it's the interaction between these two to make things happen through life in all its different incarnations and all its different forms. The need to procreate is one of the 2 most powerful forces out there next to the need to survive. And so it's by utilizing this idea that this interaction is what makes us tick and go on every day. It's something that's important and something that we try and impress on people. And we also try and impress upon our seekers that they need to find their feminine side if they're male or their male side if they're feminine. I've seen people go through our classes and come out incredibly empowered. And they've also been able to open themselves up to new experiences, new ideas, and new forms of spirituality. Third part of the balanced life is sin. Now, sin in its original concept means to miss the mark. We don't really believe in sin. We don't. We think that's a Christian concept that's been handed down and something that people need to work on themselves. We believe if you make a mistake and hurt someone, try and make amends as much as you can. Try and correct it, then move on and let it go. Because to try and sit there and feel guilty about it, feel like you've done something incredibly sinful is just a waste of time and effort. So you need to release that particular part. The fourth part of a balanced life is nature. And I think everyone here can realize, I would hope, would realize and know that being out in nature is a wonderful thing. It gives you a chance to commune yourself, to ground yourself, realize what's really important. Recently, I read a piece about Teddy Roosevelt. He was talking about his daily habits, this gentleman went through. And he said one of the parts of his daily habit, even as president, was to go out and spend time in nature. For him, most of the time it was horseback riding. but walking in gardens, walking on paths, walking out and taking hikes. This was his way of grounding himself and bringing him into harmony with the nature around them. Moving on from the balanced life, we get to the tenet of harmony. And this is coming into season with the larger picture that's out there. And as Wiccans, we do this by celebrating the 8 Sabbats of the year. We have a big one coming up here soon. Halloween, we call it Samhain or Hallows. Some call it All Souls Day. In my particular tradition, this is our time to say goodbye to the dead who may have passed away in the past year. For us, it's very special because it's that one last time to not necessarily contact them, but to let go of that part of us that has left us already. From there, we move into Yule in December with the light coming back to the world, and we celebrate that with Christmas trees and all sorts of little fun stuff like that. Then we move into February with Imbolc. My group calls it Candlemas because we have some Christian Catholic background to it, also known as the winter solstice. No, that's Yule, sorry. But whereas with Yule, we are celebrating the light returning to the world, with Imbolc or Candlemas, we're celebrating the warmth returning to the world. And it's this time in various parts of the world where lambs will start dropping, where sap will start rising, and snow will start melting, and you'll start to feel like the world's coming back. And it used to be that if you made it to Imbolc, you knew you were going to survive for the rest of the year because you'd gotten through the really hard part. It's also a time of divination. Let me see if I can remember how this goes correctly. If Candlemas Day is dark and gray, spring will soon be on its way. If Candlemas Day is bright and light, 6 more weeks of winter are still in sight. Of course, this kind of coincides with Groundhog Day, which is, about 2 days. So you kind of see where the Groundhog Day came from? Yeah. Okay. After Imbolc, we then move into the spring equinox, which is in April. And this is where we start celebrating the time of planting, which for agrarian societies was a big deal because this is where, this is where the food's going to come from the next year. Then into Beltane, which is the 1st of May. You remember all those maypoles growing up? Yeah, that's where that comes from. Also called Walpurgis Night, Rood Mass, a number of different names. Beltane is actually a word for May in Celtic Irish. I discovered when my wife and I went and visited Ireland a couple of years ago. So interesting. For us, it's the time for the god and the goddess to come together, and it's special for them in their joining. From there, we move into Midsummer, also known as Litha, St. John's Day in middle of June, June 22nd, yes, when the sun is at its highest on the opposite side of Yule. And the time supposedly when all the fairies have come out and play because everything is bright and festive and everything's blooming, going wild. From there, we move into Lammas, which is August 2nd. And this is the first harvest. It's also St. James Day and Loaf Mass in some of the Christian religions. But here we celebrate the first harvest and what we're bringing back into the fold of the church or into the covenant. We move on to Michaelmas in September, the fall equinox. And we're going to the second harvest, where we're more into the apples and later fruits and the grains that come in. And finally, back to Yule again. And it's by celebrating this cycle of life that goes on around us that we keep ourselves in harmony with nature that's around us. Moving on to our third tenet, the tenet of trust. Now, trust is a hard thing. It really is. And in my particular group, when we have a seeker that comes who wants to join, we have him go through a series of classes that last at least a year and a day. And this is for us to get to know them and for them to get to know us so that we can learn to trust each other. And it's a difficult thing. I mean, we're kind of, on the outskirts of society, so you have to get to know what it is. We don't want crazy people coming in. We don't want them thinking we're crazy. We want to find that perfect fit for what goes on. We also teach people that they need to start trusting their intuition, because this can be a very powerful tool in how they deal with things in life. Learning to listen to that little voice inside and what it says to them. From there, we move on to the tenet of humility. Realizing that while we may be empowered people, why we may, be able to do things that we didn't think we could do, we're also not the most powerful thing out there. There's forces out there and around us that can do wonderful and some pretty tragic things. And I think the 2 hurricanes down in Florida are pretty good examples of that. So, certain humility in how we address life. Now, we're not saying that you shouldn't be proud of what you do. We fully want you to be. But there's a difference between pride and vanity. And whereas it's sometimes said that pride goes before the fall, we actually believe it's more like vanity goes before. Being proud of something that you haven't done or something that you've claimed that you've done. It's okay to be proud of your accomplishments, but also realize that, there is a humility that goes on in this world. Next is our tenet of tolerance, a strong one that we hold in association with the UU. We believe that everyone has the right to their own opinion, to their own beliefs. Now, we're not doormats, and we don't think you should force them on us, but we respect your right to have them, and we think that the proper way to live in this world is to be willing to let people have their own beliefs. Let them express their opinions, but do not let them try and run you down with them. That's a totally different thing. Next is the tenet of learning. Learning for us is a constant thing. And there's more than one way of learning besides just the book and the computer these days. There's learning by experience, getting out and doing things, learning to understand your intuition, trust those gut feelings inside of you. This, again, takes time. But learning for us is a never-ending purpose, because we believe one of our purposes on this world is to learn and be able to transfer that information back to an entity that we call the Oversoul, who joins us all together. And finally, our last tenet is reincarnation. Unlike the Eastern philosophies, Western reincarnation does not believe that if you're a bad person, you go back. We believe that we're constantly going forward in our being rebirthed time and time again. Each time we're learning, each time we're gaining more information, each time we become a little bit better. It's often said that violent people and people who are antisocial may be newly reincarnated from animals and have not yet adjusted themselves to the world that's around them. But as time goes on and reincarnation goes with it, you develop more and become more spiritually inclined to things. We also believe in karma. We believe that what you do in this life comes back to you 3 times. Do 3 times bad, 3 times good. And it's not just in this life. Those consequences can follow you into the next life, too. So something that you may have done in life before, you might be paying some karma for it this time. So it's always in your best interest to try to be the best person you can. Be kind to other people. Be tolerant. As much as you possibly can without losing your own dignity or defense of yourself and your loved ones. So those are basically the 7 tenets that we try and teach our students. A balanced life, harmony, trust, humility, tolerance, and reincarnation. Now, these are kind of a thumbnail version. There's a much longer version that we give our students. But time being a factor, I try to cut it down as much as possible. I'd like to finish up by quoting the Wiccan Rede to you. This was first written by Dorian Valente in 1964, and then rewritten by Gwen Thompson in the early 70s. I'm never quite sure which one I'm running to because they seem to change depending on where I'm at. Abide the Wiccan law ye must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. Cast the circle thrice about to keep the evil spirits out. To bind the spell every time, let the spell be spec and rhyme. Soft of eye and light of touch. Speak little and listen much. Deicil go by the waxing moon, chanting out the witch's rune. Wintershins go by the waning moon, chanting out the baneful rune. When the lady's moon is new, kiss the hand to her times two. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire seek. Heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss thee on the mouth. When the wind blows from the west, departed souls will have no rest. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast. 9 woods in the cauldron go, burn them fast and burn them slow. Elder be the lady's tree, burn it not, or cursed you'll be. When the wheel begins to turn, let the bell fires burn. When the wheel is turned to Yule, light the log and the hoard one rules. Heed ye flower, bush, and tree, by the Lady blessed be. Where the rippling flowers go, waters go, cast a stone, and truth you'll know. When ye have true need, hearken not to others' greed. With a fool no season spend, lest ye be counted as his friend. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Mind the threefold law you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. When misfortune is a now, wear the blue star on thy brow. True in love ever be, lest thy lover's false to thee. 8 words the Wiccan reed fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will. Bright blessings, everyone. Blessed be.
In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask that our members and friends share of their time, treasure, and talents. With this, we will now take our offering. You may also use the Give Now option in the Breeze app. This month's 50-50 recipient is Georgia Equality. Any checks or Breeze donations designated as 50-50 will go to support their work. We accept this offering in furtherance of our mission within this congregation and beyond. Will you please stand as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. Please join me as we extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Benediction by John Muir. Climb the mountain and get their good tidings, and nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into trees. May winds will blow their own freshness into you, so that your cares will drop off like autumn leaves. Thank you, everyone. The service is finished.